Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Sherri Horner, your host at healthfitnessbroadcast.com. Today we are talking brain fitness with uh, fitness wellness coach Noel Lyons, and he joins us from London, England. Welcome to the show.
Hi Sherry, how you doing?
Finally got you here.
Yeah, there's been a
And
few gremlins, hasn't there? But maybe
yes,
that's part of what we're going to talk about anyway, really.
yes. So we have now in your 27 years in the fitness industry, I'm sure you've seen a lot, you've experienced a lot, and you've been able to help a lot of people. So this topic of brain fitness today really intrigues me because we can kind of dive a little deeper into why we do what we do and why we don't do what we do and so forth. So the
Yeah,
science behind it. So let's get started with the first question. Okay, so why brain fitness? And can you tie it all together for us? Like,
yeah.
why?
Well, I try, but I do stay up to date with the latest sort of research and what's topical, what's sort of happening. And as you said, I've been in the industry a long time, and it did start off all it was all about the body. And even for myself, I was an athlete, I was a runner, then a triathlete. It was all about how do I perform at a high level, etc., etc. So it's kind of like been an evolution really for everybody. And I think more and more now, the brain is just central to everything we do. I mean, if you think about it, it is actually our identity. It's how we see ourselves. But not only that, it's also how we see the world and how we respond to the world. But I think from a fitness perspective, there's been a lot about the mental health side of things, particularly with depression and anxiety and stress levels just being higher and higher. We've all heard about the endorphin fix with exercise, and more to do with the aging population. I guess with all the baby boomers coming through now, a whole generation, we're starting to look at those who are still very well and active and those who aren't and what the difference is. So again, brain fitness comes to the fore in that. And I think as I already said too, is my whole thing has been about performance. We're also seeing it in the office now. How do we perform at a high level every day? What does it take? And again, that comes back to brain fitness. It's a central operating system, if you like. Did
Right.
that tie together?
Yeah, that is great. So, can we talk a moment about the aging brain? Can you?
Mm. Yeah, whoa. um, I think this is, we're going to be talking about exercise today, obviously, because we have an exercise background.
Yeah.
It's not just exercise, it really is whole lifestyle. And we could break that down in exercise terms. We've got the physical side. We've always had exercise and diet, they go hand in hand. There's lots of debates. Is diet more important than exercise or vice versa? I think we'd all agree they're both equally important, and
Yeah.
we can make a case for both
Right.
on that side of things. But lately, more and more, both sleep and stress have come to the forefront. And so we can't consider just exercise and diet in isolation. We need to consider how the sleep quality, and that's a subject in itself.
Yeah.
And then stress is a subject in itself. So that's more the emotional side. You've got physical, emotional. When it comes to brain fitness, we've also got the mental side, the mental stimulation, how we're using our brain every day. There's this sort of argument that, you get to 35, 40, and you're already very set in your ways, and hence you're running on autopilot,
Yeah.
just responding to what goes on around you.
Right.
Whereas we find in those who age very well, they tend to retain a certain sort of curiosity towards life. They're very open-minded. They keep learning. Carol Dweck might call it a growth mindset. You're always growing. You're always, learning new things. So there's very much like a mental component, and the other side of things is the social component, the social engagement. See, literally, it's the whole person. It's the physical, the emotional, the mental, the social. All of these go into play to make up how well we age and what we get out of life, really.
Right. So with those five pillars that you're talking about, let's talk about the athlete first, and then I want to kind of talk about older adults a little bit, and then you mentioned in the office, and so we'll talk about that too. But
Yeah,
okay, so with the athlete, you're an athlete. You've been an athlete for many years. So with let's talk about nutrition, how that
yeah,
affects the brain.
yeah. Um, there is a growing field called nootropics, and they're looking at very sort of uh, specific side of nutrition and how we can have an optimal brain performance. But I don't think it would surprise you as a seasoned exercise professional that what's good for the body is also very much good for the brain. And what's really coming to the forefront is the omega 3s. The oily fish is really good for keeping a thriving brain, as is things like choline in eggs,
Mhm.
because that's important for the amino acids. Robin Sharma, the personal growth guru, he's been
Yes.
talking a lot about BDNF recently.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about BDNF and the aging brain, it tends to we tend to get less of it the older we get. So it's even more important the older we get to stay active, to release BDNF, because it's involved in the whole structure and functioning of how well our brain operates. And we get that from more intense sort of bursts of exercise.
Okay.
And so it's all about fitting those into the day, which, yeah, for the office person, it might mean before work, it might mean after work, or the lunch break. We're also addicted to the smartphones. We just need to
Mhm.
switch those off, just go for a walk in nature, just outdoors, and just let our sort of mind wander. And if we can, just a few sort of bursts of, brisk walking. You're going to come back to the office in the afternoon that much more productive, that much more creative,
Super
and
tip.
resilient, ready to go again.
Super tip. So we went on to exercise already. What are
So
some,
yeah, I come back to that. But
yeah, what are some other, we talked about the endorphin high, and
mm,
but a lot of people think they need to exercise for an hour to get that. But you can get
mm,
that pretty quickly, like you said, on your lunch break, taking that walk,
mm,
um, doing some other exercises. If there's a facility in your workplace.
yeah, yeah. Or just to walk by the river, depending where you work, what you do, just to sort of get outdoors. There
Yeah.
is something with that, just to get away from all the high tech equipment.
Yeah. Even
Help.
in the winter, just getting that sunshine
Yeah.
if there is some.
But it does seem that there is this benefit of up to an hour each day, 5 to 6 times a week. But of course, for most people, that's just impractical,
You
but not
break it down.
impossible. so,
Yeah.
so that's a value sort of judgment, and we could talk about that. So certainly, light exercise for up to an hour is good, but failing that, then you could break that down. You could do shorter but harder, and this is where you get like a twofold effect. It strikes me, reading between a lot of the research, the longer, easier exercise, and it's aerobic exercise, is better than weight training. It's good for developing brain volume, or what they call neurogenesis, which is the growth of new brain cells, or at least you don't lose those brain cells, which is equally important. But it seems that you also get the effects of the neurotransmitters, the endorphins, and the BDNF. That seems to come from the shorter, harder bursts.
Okay.
So what that might mean could be a quick run up the stairs for 5 minutes. You could break it down. So you could have 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and for some people that might be easier, and yet other people say that's even more impractical because they can't fit that in and they can't get change for it, etc., etc. So it's a bit of planning with a health coach as to what's possible, what's doable. But if we went by the ideal recommendations, it's probably longer, easier one day, shorter, harder the next, along with a bit of weight training would be the ideal.
Perfect. Perfect plan.
And if we were to look at some of the other components, if you can have a degree of challenge in there as well. And this is where, like, aerobics, where you're learning new movements, there's like a mental challenge as well as a physical challenge. That's going to be very good for midlife people as they start to age, just to sort of retain all their devices. Racket sports would be really good. There's something about just taking the arm across the body helps reset the mind. And this is where, even in martial arts, I do a lot of Muay Thai, Thai boxing, and just bringing your arms across on a bag and your knees across. It's very, afterwards, 10 or 15 minutes of that, and boom, you're like a new person again.
Mhm.
So there's definitely something there,
Oh,
and
that
it
is
was
great.
same for the racket sports too.
This
Um,
is great information. You're going to make us all new people. That is great. That is
okay.
super. So, anything else that you want to add to the mental stimulation, or can we talk about social engagement?
Yeah, I said that was the other thing. I think if you do aerobics, you do it as a group. You've got group exercise. I've even got all the group running these days. I do the park run every Saturday morning, which is 5K around the park.
Nice.
But there's a lot of there's a real community around that, and you can go to different races where I live, and there's each community slightly different, and I love all that, and it's just amazing. You've got all these like middle-aged people up early on a Saturday morning doing their
Yeah.
5K around the park,
Oh, that's
and
great.
and it's
That's
all over by 10 a.m. But
yeah.
it sets you up for the day.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, the
definitely,
social aspect of that is really great. Yeah, especially
yeah.
for the older adults.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think there's a motivational side of that. The fact you're doing it with others helps for the motivation. We get very competitive. You can go back on the internet afterwards and you can see how you
you can
did for the
compare.
all-time record of that particular course. You can see how you do for your age group. You can see how you compare across the country. There's that great sort of motivational side we get now with the technology.
Right.
And it's also just like a stress reliever because you're doing it with other people. And as soon as you're around other people, you have to let your own preoccupations just sort of drop and
Right.
just get on with what's going on around you. So it just helps that sort of rumination where you're on that wheel just to get off it
Mhm.
and just focus on something else.
Right. When you're
That's
in the atmosphere of what's going on, the hardest thing is to get there.
and
And
yeah,
once you
there's
get
that
yourself
general
there in the atmosphere, whether it's at a fitness facility or a group of runners
yeah.
in the park, once you get there, you're yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, this has been through winter too, and it's been pretty grim weather. And I think we're kind of like alike. We don't, winter doesn't really agree with us. I'm
Right.
very much a summer person. I love the sun. So, sometimes you turn up and you're like, I really don't feel like this. But it's just like three, 400 other runners. There's an energy about it.
Yeah.
And boom, as soon as the start goes, there's people, I'm competitive. It's like, right, off.
Oh, that's
so,
great.
so there is
So,
that side. So, yeah.
um,
And I think it's why we need to retain the activity because it's not just that as you get older, if you stop doing the activity, you start to lose the social side of things. I'm a
right,
cyclist too. I love the group rides out with other riders. I've trained a lot of golfers in the past, and it's the same for those. The Sunday morning out for the social, the 19th hole afterwards. They don't just lose the golf, the exercise, they're losing the whole social side too if they stop.
right. That's good. You're motivating a lot of people. So, and
Good, good.
also, I got a couple more questions for you. But he, Noel has you have master's degree in health and exercise and health science.
Exercise and health science,
Yeah,
which was the impact of lifestyle on our health.
yeah.
So,
And so, being in the fitness industry, and so now you're gearing a little more toward coaching. How does that work? And are you available online? We can give your website. It will be in the description box. So if you want to contact Noel, you
right.
can do that. He'll
Yeah.
be
Well,
available to answer
it's well,
questions.
well coach, KUK, and I specialise in sort of high performance, just sort of keeping people performing at a high level every day, whatever that means to them, and obviously keeping a balance that you've got both professional success and personal success. And again, there's increasing sort of trend that the two do go hand in hand.
Mhm.
It's no point that when you're going to be successful professionally, the rest of your life's going to fall into place. It doesn't really work out that way. It tends to be the other way around. When you get things right, then you can start to get ahead professionally too. So it's trying to, that term work-life balance. I think they call it work-life fit these days. It's all about making it work towards your total goals. So that's well coached UK. Difference between a coach and a fitness guy, I guess that it's really you don't judge. It's non-judgmental. It's that person centric. It's all about them. It's how they see the world. Where are they at? Where would they like to go? And how can we get there? So it's probably more open-minded. But I've got to be careful how I say that because I'm not knocking the work all the personal trainers do and that
Right,
I
right.
once did as well because there's great value in that too. But
Yes.
instead of being prescriptive in like, here's what we're going to do and I'm the motivator as the trainer, it's almost like a reversal of roles. It's like, I'm just your coach. How are you feeling today? How can we make it better? Type thing.
Right. So you let them kind of answer. You inspire triggers to
Yeah,
help them
yeah.
find the answers on their own. And
Yeah, because they have all the answers
right,
and they know themselves better than anybody else.
right.
And they probably know an awful lot these days about exercise, nutrition, stress, sleep, all the factors we spoke about. The question is, how do they then adapt that to their own lifestyle?
Right. So I want to ask you a couple more questions, but one, do you have one last message or tip?
Yeah, again, I'm 27 years in the business. The thing with exercise is the earlier we start, the better. But at the same time, it's never too late. People who start very late in life, you can certainly hold back some of the signs and symptoms of dementia, Alzheimer's, and all those sort of brain diseases, unfortunately. So, it's never too late. But the earlier you start, the better you set yourself up for living well into old age. And so I'd encourage people right across the lifespan to
Start today.
somehow accommodate,
Yeah,
a
start
good
today.
eating plan, exercise, get good quality sleep, manage stress in their lives, and to lead an inspired life, basically.
Great, thanks. So
That's my
you're,
message.
yeah, you're working on a book, so I can't wait to have you come back and we'll talk about the book.
Thanks, Sher. Yeah.
So can you give us a hint about
Well,
what it's
brain
about?
fitness is going to feature in it.
Okay.
It's as a fundamental part. But I think everybody has a book in them. This is something that's been sitting in for a while, and I
Mhm.
think it's more and more topical. But in terms of the exact sort of twist or angle, I'll leave that for now because that's all part of how we get people's attention and how we get them to take action.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So there's one more thing I like to ask everyone because I believe that the shoe you wear tells a lot about your personality. So I want you to show me your shoe and then I'll show you my shoe for today. So what is your favorite shoe? Why do you like it, Noel? Tell me about it.
I think you caught me on the hop there, actually,
Oh,
Sherry, because I did
sorry.
ask you.
Take your shoe off. Let's see what you have on today.
But now I'm going to have to go for the one I've got on.
Yeah.
And this is just quite simply, it's like a moccasin type shoe.
Nice.
So probably it says me
Comfortable.
just comfort, just
Hmm.
but the one I was going to show was going to be my race shoe,
Oh,
and we
next
could have gone
time.
into the sort of orthotics because I'm a classic
Yeah.
pronator, and we could have
Oh,
spoken all
okay.
about that,
Oh,
etc., etc.
definitely. Next
But
time, talk about your book and
this is
your running
far
shoes.
more natural. This is just a uh, go for comfort first and foremost because as a shoe fetish person, probably what you wear is just really important.
Right.
So
Right.
so
And
no, call me on hop there.
oh, sorry, surprise. Well, my shoe for today is Nike, and I love Nikes. I love multiple other uh, shoes, but this one today, Nike, love it. Cross trainer, easy to wear, comfortable, Nike Air. So, okay,
And I
thank
was going
you.
to go for the Nike Pegasus 32, which is their race shoe. And the reason being, it's just I've tried some very lightweight race shoes. They don't sort of sit well with me. With that, you have really nice forefront cushioning.
Hmm.
So you almost they call it like a bounce back.
Right.
When they're new, you race in them, it just feels fantastic. It's you literally bounce around the course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I wore
in doubt, if you're
Nikes.
looking for a good race training shoe, I'd say the Nike Pegasus 32.
Okay.
It's a nice neutral shoe that suits most people.
Okay, great. We could spend an hour talking about shoes, just you and me.
Well,
We'll do that. We'll do that in the future too. But thanks so much for everything, and to look forward to having you come back. I'll have Noel's information in the description box so people can contact you if they have more questions. And thanks again for joining us from London
thanks for
to
having me on, Sherry. It's brilliant and
thank
it's fantastic. We can have these transatlantic calls. So thanks for
yeah,
having me as a guest.
yeah, it's super great. Thank you so much, and thank you for subscribing and share this with your friends. Appreciate it. Thank you.